G'day guys, Tools20 here and welcome back to Springwood. Damn, it feels good saying that. It's been such a long time since we've recorded a Springwood episode and I've really missed it. So sorry to all those people who've just been hanging on for Springwood episodes. I honestly just needed a big break from it. I've been working in this city for about 2 years now. That's a pretty long time to be working on one project and I definitely needed a break, but I'm feeling really refreshed and I'm feeling really keen to jump back into it. So this video is pretty jam-packed full of information because I want to give you a lot of updates on the city and talk about a whole bunch of things that I've been working on and future plans. So all that's coming up in this episode. Do have to give a quick shout out to Logan Crawford for creating that amazing 80s intro. It fits in with the theme of Springwood so well. And speaking of the theme, for all the new folk that are watching Springwood for the very first time, so we are based in the 80s now. This is a series that is inspired by Los Angeles around the 1980s, but it's not exclusive to LA. You'll also see quite a lot of areas that are based on New York, and the airport is based on Sydney's airport. And you'll also notice that the cars are driving on the left, which really annoys people. But like I said before, I started this series back in 2016. So this is a really old city. It's been going for a long time. And if this is your first time watching Springwood, I highly recommend you go and check out the very first video I released for Springwood. It's been almost 2 years since I released that video. So it's an old city, and because of that, a lot of the city needs updating, and that's what we're pretty much doing in this episode. I'm not really going to be doing any detail work or working on any particular project. Today's episode's just based on fixing a lot of the problems that exist within Springwood, because it is an enormous city. We are sitting on about 65,000 residents, and that's the largest it's been so far, which is causing a whole bunch of problems. And it's also been 6 months since I've been in the city, so there's been updates, there are new DLCs, some assets have disappeared, and I also left the city with a lot of problems. So today we're focusing on fixing all those problems. And it's also going to be a really great opportunity for you to get some updates about Springwood, where I'm heading, where my mind is at with this series, and even, I guess, all the series on my channel and the way I want to structure this year in terms of releasing content. So with all that said, the first thing I want to work on is fixing up a lot of the residential areas within Springwood, because you'll notice that there's a lot of gaps. And what was happening is I was running no abandonment mods, which was keeping the buildings, well, at least the structure of the building, from becoming abandoned, even though I was still getting a couple of buildings that were disappearing or despawning. And what was happening with all my residential buildings was they're pretty much empty. So they were just these structures of these houses, and my population dropped dramatically. And so as you can tell at the moment, I'm at 30,000, which was pretty much the population for most of Springwood, because these houses were just there without any people living in them. And I think somewhere along the line, when I removed a couple of other mods and reloaded the game, all those houses that didn't have anybody living in there just despawned. So what that resulted in is just mass of houses just not appearing in the game. So the way I'm fixing that is I've now got a mod called Fill the Houses, and this is a mod that I also run in Bordertown. And what that mod does is it forces people to live in houses. So that's a really great way to have really detailed neighborhoods and also have a lot of residents within your city. So that's a great way of keeping that up if you're gonna basically create cities like I do. And that's a great mix with no abandonment mods, because they just kind of go hand in hand. So that's pretty much my job for the first part of this episode, at least the first couple of minutes. Basically just going through a lot of the neighborhoods and finding where the gaps are and just replacing them. And this is also a really great opportunity for me to update a lot of the houses, because some of the houses that I created are plopped down a year and a half ago, and some of them are the models are just not great anymore, and it's a really easy thing to fix. So that's something that I have started doing in this episode, but I will continue doing throughout the episodes. Off camera though, because it's not the most thrilling of things to watch, I can imagine. You can probably see the nuclear reactors just sitting right next to a neighborhood. They're there because I want power in the city, but haven't really dedicated an area for power points, for power stations and for garbage and recycling areas. A lot of the things that you see that don't really make sense within the city are going to be hidden within this episode, and also fixing up a whole bunch of problems to do with water and recycling and all those sort of general services and schools and police force and all that. And there's obviously mods that hide those problems. So there's actually a mod that's called No Problems mod, I think. And I did used to have that mod, but I think I prefer seeing all the problems and trying to run the city like it probably should run. And I get it pretty close at the end of this episode. So, stay tuned for that. And if you're new here, or if you just want a quick refresher, Springwood. So, it's set in the 80s, it's based in LA, it's a mix between a whole bunch of different cities around the world and has left-hand driving. That's sort of not the main focus of this city. So the whole reason why I started this series in the first place, and if you check that video I uploaded 2 years ago, I'm still staying true to the main theme of this series, which is stories. And Springwood is pretty much all about stories and your input into the story of Springwood. And something that I really wanted to achieve for this series all those years ago is to create a city that has atmosphere and culture and history. They were my main focuses for this series, is to create something that really felt like a living city. So for a central place for all that information about this city, Springwood has its very own wiki page, which is absolutely nuts. And that wiki page wasn't created by me. None of the stories are created by me. This is fan made. This is something that I put out to people last year, and Simon, who created the wiki, the base of the wiki page, has done an amazing job at creating this brilliant platform. And a lot of people have been adding stories to this city and creating maps and creating backstories and creating images and graphics and just full stories for every location within Springwood, which is just an incredible thing. I love it so much, and I was scrolling through it the other day and just laughing because some of the stories are just so funny and so detailed. So go and check it out if you are interested in contributing to the story of Springwood. Head on over to our Discord, because we have a channel there that is dedicated for bouncing ideas around or getting information about pre-existing stories within Springwood. Best place to start is to go to the wiki chat. Also, I think it's a wiki ideas. I'll leave a link in the description. Go check it out. The link for the wiki is also in the description too. Now, if you are going to add anything, which please do, I'd love you to add some stories to it. But if you do, just don't change any stories that are already there, or don't remove anybody's stories, because a lot of hard work's going into that, and we don't want to change any pre-existing stuff. And make sure it's within the Springwood theme. So don't go and add a full story about a military base that exists outside of Springwood, because that doesn't exist. If you want to add something to the wiki, make sure it's fitting in with the rest of the story, and have a chat, because there are a lot of friendly people already there, and they're super keen to help you out and give you some ideas too. So go to the wiki page and then go and check out the Discord, because you'll get some great ideas. So what I'm doing right now is working on the power station, and I will also make this the area where I'm going to be having the just one of the garbage centers pretty much. So this isn't going to stay, this is just temporary, I guess. Temporary for probably 15, 16 episodes or whatever. And it sits just outside of the city, and there's a cool little interchange. I actually built this interchange in episode 2, which is such a long time ago. And this is right next to the wind farm, which has been generating a fair bit of power into the city so far, but we definitely need a bit more. And we do also have a dam outside of Springwood, but that's not generating any electricity. There's no water running through it. It's just there for aesthetics, which I'm actually pretty keen to work on that dam sort of soonish, sooner than later. Over the next few episodes, we're going to be expanding out the population. There's a massive gap within Springwood that I've always wanted to fill, but I've just been working on other projects and haven't really worked on that area for... Well, I've never worked on it. It's just been sitting there since day dot. So that's something that I'm going to be working on over the next couple of episodes. So we're going to be doing quite a lot of expanding. That is the theme of, I guess, the next few episodes at least. So the idea behind Springwood coming back, this would be the best time now for me to talk about it. So because Springwood is such a big city and there is a lot of detail going into it, including the wiki and all the stories and the neighborhoods, and just it is an expansive city, and it's been going on for 2 years already. And because of that, I don't really ever want to just finish it and that's it, you know. We're not going to finish it this year, and we might finish it next year. I don't really know. Pretty much we're going to keep on working on this project until it's not relevant anymore, or if the save game dies, or if City Skylines 2 comes out, you know, that would be the end of the project. So because of that, I'm not going to be releasing episodes every week. So we might work on Springwood for a couple of months, and then it'll just go back into just sitting there and waiting until we kick it off again. And that is, we're at the stage where we can do that with Springwood. You know, it feels like a big city. All the stories are there. It's you know, expansive. It's full of detail. So I don't really want to be working on it all the time. So I might work on it for the next few months, which I actually plan on doing, getting lots of Springwood episodes out. And then I'm just going to leave it for a bit and work on some other projects. So that's what to sort of expect from Springwood projects. Whereas Bordertown, Marble Mountain, they're going to be finished at the end of the year, and I'll be working on some other things. I have another series that I'm planning on releasing mid-year too, so, you know, I'm not going to let Springwood hold me back on that because, you know, there's a lot of things I want to achieve on this channel, a lot of projects I want to do. Springwood would just be something that I always work on, and that is how I want it to stay. I love the fact that Springwood is just something that we just dive in on every now and again, and we get momentum going, and the stories just continue, and that wiki page just sits there. You can just jump on it whenever you like. That's very, very cool, and yeah, that's basically the idea. So I hope that kind of answers any questions. If you want to ask any questions below, just hit me up and I'll answer them. What I'm doing right now is I'm just fixing up some of the education problems within Springwood, just going through and checking out the map and figuring out where education is needed the most. It's generally not too bad. There are some areas that need some schools, which I plopped down. Not really detailing these places, maybe a couple of trees here and there, but generally just seeing where schools are needed and doing the same for fire services. And again, I do this because I prefer keeping the realism of demand. I don't really want to just hide all these problems and not have any police units or anything like that. I do want it to function, and I do want neighborhoods to have the services that they really need, because I do think City Skylines does a really good job at that. And another thing I also wanted to do was make the land value sort of fit the certain areas that that would actually have high land value, and other areas that would have lower land value, because, you know, that all adds to the story of Springwood. So what I'm doing is placing down some parks, and something I've never actually done. Well, I've done it a couple of little locations, but with the parks update, I started making a couple of different parked areas within Springwood, but I just wanted to add some custom parks that I was reading up on the wiki page and just adding in those parks, because, you know, I noticed that this area over here that I'm working on is a national park, and there's a whole mountain that I wanted to dedicate to that. So I created a national park up in the mountains and be working on a couple of other areas. As you can probably tell, Springwood doesn't operate like a normal city. So problem with having such a large city, you know, we are sitting on 50,000, which, you know, isn't enormous. I've seen some cities go up to 100,000. However, you know, once you get it to a certain amount of residents, it really just doesn't work very well. And when you're using lots of mods like I am, forget about it. Like, it's not going to function. You know, the frame rate is so slow. I might be in a save game for, you know, 6 hours, and a police car probably won't even make it to its location and return back to the station in time, you know, within that time limit. So, and because the way that the game is created, you know, every unit sort of has a purpose, and it's, you know, people go from their house to their work and then to a park and then back to their home. You know, that whole cycle doesn't happen within Springwood. It's just too enormous. There are too many problems going on. So, you know, you can just forget about it if you want to create a city so detailed and still have everything functioning the way it should, or the way that it was intended for. I honestly don't even know if that's possible. Let me know in the comments if you've gotten a city to over 60Ks and still seen the basic simulation running and operating the way that it was originally intended for. But I'm pretty sure around the 80K mark, the game just stops working the way that it probably should be. But yeah, I'm definitely curious. So a pretty exciting update for the channel is that in a pretty short time, maybe in the next month or so, I should have an internet connection worthy enough of live streaming. At the moment, my current upload speed is less than 1 megabit per second, which is, well, I mean, it's pretty bad. It's so bad that it takes about 48 hours to upload a single video to YouTube. So that is also another reason why it takes so long for me to upload videos. That's why I'm only really uploading once a week, and at the moment I'm uploading twice a week. So at the moment, my PC is on all the time, all the time. I think I turn it off in between uploads for an hour, and then I'll be either rendering a video or uploading video or playing a game or editing something. It's just constantly on. So that's also having a huge effect on the performance on my PC. But we're currently in the process of getting it all set up, which is very exciting. It means that once that is all connected and my internet plans all been upgraded, then I should be going straight into some live streams. So I just want to give a quick shout out to my patrons, because they're the ones that have made that possible. Thank you so much for all your support. You guys are flipping angels. I think you already know that. I actually really can't wait to start live streaming. I've been watching people live stream recently, and it just looks like so much fun. And to be honest, I can't even wait to upload a video and not completely kill my internet speed and not take 48 hours. I don't know why Australia has such bad internet connection. I'm sure other people in Australia are probably typing away in the comments saying, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. For a Western country, I don't know why our internet speed is so bad. And it's not like I live in the country, I live in the freaking city. It's just so ridiculous. We are finishing up this episode, and the last couple of things that I wanted to fix up were my traffic problems. You might have already seen that traffic is not too bad within the city, considering. I just want to say considering, because it's not great. There are definitely problems within the city, but considering the size, considering where things are, and how bad some of the interchanges are, it's not so bad. So what I wanted to do is I just want to fix up a couple of things just to make sure that ambulances were getting to the right place and garbage was being collected too. So just fixing some places up with Traffic President mod, which helps out a lot. I'm not very good at this mod, to be honest. A lot of it's trial and error, which I'm basically doing right now is trial and error. And I'm also not too worried about some locations, because in my mind they're going to be upgraded at some stage, and I'm going to change the way that they look. But one thing that I did want to fix was this particular interchange, because it just doesn't really work. It's a real mess. And I don't really fix it, to be honest, but I just decided to leave this footage in because just to show you how terrible I am at fixing up these problems. There's a whole bunch of problems with this interchange, and one thing that I do to just fix it up is I delete the road connecting to this, because it's not really necessary, and quite a lot of roads, you'll notice, will be disconnected from main roads so that traffic can flow a lot smoother. And to be honest, cars don't really need to go up this road quite as much as traffic needs to flow from the highway. So I ended up just doing a little bit of detail, barricading it off and making it so it looks like it was an intentional split. I think it turned out pretty cool actually. I probably will do a couple of these sort of roads later down the track when we get a bit more road connections happening and we know where more things are going to sit within the city. But guys, that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and sorry for taking so long for Springwood episodes. I really needed a break, but I'm so happy to be back. I'm stoked, and there's so much I want to achieve. The next couple of episodes, we are going to be working on expanding out a particular neighborhood. Next week, I'm going to be focusing on road networks, and the episode after, we're just going to dive in and start building some suburbs and really expanding out some areas, which I'm really excited to show you guys. So yeah, look forward to that. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave some nice feedback. That'd be fantastic. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. I post quite regularly some updates and some teasers and all that sort of stuff. But until next time, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.